Hey guys, it is LSP Let's Stay Pro, and I'm going to be bringing a video series, well, starting a video series that you may or may not have been aware of. It was on my old channel, and it was one of the highlights of my channel every week, really, because it tend to get the most discussion going on between viewers and stuff, and it's Type 5 Tuesdays. Yep, a weekly series that I upload every Tuesday where I pick out a topic, whether it being game related or not. Like in this case, for this week, it's not gaming related, and I basically just put it all in a 1 to 5 system, or a 5 to 1 really. I count it down from 5 to number 1, 5 being the least, 1 being the greatest. And this week we got a doozy. I decided, you know what, I am entering 12th grade, so I feel I've got a couple of years experience in high school. And I've been a pretty good student. I've been a pretty good boy. I haven't been very naughty. I haven't been sticking my hand in the high school cookie jar and taking out any guilty pleasure that I want all the time. Not I did do it a couple of times, but not every single day of high school. Like coming to school high every day. Yeah, that's pretty naughty. I never did anything like that, but anyways, let's get into the top 5. So, top 5 things you should avoid doing when you're in high school. And I guess this does apply in college, of course, because well, college is pretty much like a higher level of high school, just much more broad and it's much more expansive depending on what you do. Like if you live on a big campus, well, yep, college is like nothing compared to high school. It's a completely separate experience that you have to experience on your own, which is something I'm looking forward to when I actually make it over to that level. Anyways, let's stick to high school. Let's stick to something simple. So, number 5, something you should avoid doing, at the very least, is not doing your work. Choosing to not do your work because you feel unmotivated or unencouraged, or your teacher's an asshole, or your teacher's a bitch, in the case that she's a female. And I mean, I'm not saying every teacher is like that. There are some cool ones, but for the most part, if you go to a high school where the kids are pretty scumbaggy, or there are some douchey kids, chances are that's going to reflect the teacher's mood, or it's going to affect how the teacher acts in general. Because I've seen some teachers that have had some pretty shitty kids they dealt with for the whole year. And think about it, they got to deal with these kids for a whole entire year, so it could really shape or break their personality in general. It really does affect them, and I think teaching is one of the most stressful jobs you could ever do for the simple fact that it's basically a lottery that you're hoping you get some decent kids, but a lot of times when you're in a high school setting, you're gonna get the scumbaggy kids no matter what. I mean, I go to private school and I still see these guys going around and they just don't belong, you know what I mean? A lot of times they do get kicked out, but it takes a few years for them to finally realize it and for the faculty and staff to come together and say, hey, we got to kick this kid out because he's not helping us out. He's not making our reputation look good. Let's get him out of here. So anyways, do your work, man. Like, it's probably the most beneficial thing you could do to really directly affect your future. I'll just say that right now. Damn. I mean, unless you plan on being the next Bill Gates to just drop out in college and then go on to be fucking a billionaire or a millionaire, I'm not sure. Either one, give or take. If you plan on doing that, then go ahead. But if you don't, if you just plan on pursuing something, something a little simpler, something not as grandiose in scope, then get good grades early on. Like, make it a habit so that once you get into a university or college, it'll just be there for you. You already have that habit and you're already in that worker mode. And it's always good to, take a job or something while you're in school that could kind of help you with organizing your responsibilities and prioritizing, really. So, next one. Number 4, kind of a bit more serious. Drinking. Drinking. One of those things that every kid, for the most part, is at the very least curious about. I understand that, it is something that I am personally curious about, but I never act upon it. It's just one of those things I was like, I really don't need it. It's just one of those things that I've always heard about, one of those things I've always wondered about, but I would never act on it, you know what I mean? I would never give someone extra money to purposely buy me booze just because they're old enough and they could get it to me. No, I would never do that. It's stupid. And if you're in school, definitely do not come to school drunk. Or for number 3, do not come to school high, or do not do it during school or after school or any time, really. It's something that could really, really screw you over. I mean, I know people who smoke on the regular and they're totally unmotivated to do anything, even unrelated to education and schooling. And it sucks. It sucks seeing these guys because they're good people. They're good people. I know that if you took out that one small variable from their life, they would be upstanding members of society. But the fact of the matter is that it could change you. It really does. I've seen people change personality wise for the simple fact that they took part in indulgences in drugs and alcohol. And it sucks because some of these people I thought I would keep in touch with for the rest of my life, and after a year or two, no, it's not the case, and it sucks. You know what I mean? But I mean that's how life is. A lot of times certain friends will just switch out with other friends, and people will take their places. A lot of times these people do a better job in their places, so you can't really shoot them down for that. And it is what it is. All right, so number two. Um, Sorry, I'm just trying to recap and think of what number one is actually going to be. Okay, sorry. Sorry about that, guys. I'd probably cut that out, but I was trying to think of what number one was going to be because I don't write this stuff down. I just keep it in my head and I think about it throughout the day. So number two. Number two is unprotected sex. That's probably one of the worst things you could do, even outside of school, even just in general. Even if you're already have your degree, and if you're not prepared to have a child, if you're not financially prepared and psychologically prepared, and if you're not mature enough to deal with the situation, then you'll probably end up leaving the broad, and she'll be the next person or the next teen molder on 16 and pregnant. You know what I mean? And that sucks. That sucks doing that. And I never did that. I never will. The fact of the matter that I'm on an all boys school really closes down my demographic towards that, or it closes down my possibility of actually doing that and experiencing that. But that just really screws up your future. It really does. Like, I know someone who has 3 kids and they're 22 and they don't have a solid form of employment. Life must suck if you're in that position. It just has to, you know what I mean? And it's sad because I know people who are in this situation, and it really does screw you up. It really does cut down your possibilities in life, and it makes you have to put your dreams and your aspirations on the back burner because now you have a son or daughter they have to deal with, or you have to raise and worry about for the next 18 years, and diapers aren't cheap. I know people always bring this up, but diapers are not cheap. Condoms are much cheaper. So, I mean, don't raw dog it if you're not prepared to deal with the consequences. Okay. So that was number 5 to 2. I might as well recap it. Why not? Number 5, don't be lazy, get your work done. Number 4, don't drink booze and party. Number 3, don't smoke and party. Number 2, don't raw dog sex it without the condoms. Always remember, condoms are cheaper than diapers. And finally, number 1. Alright, so number 1, in my opinion, beats all of those. It really does. It really, really does. Because even with all of those other factors, you still have a slight chance of being able to go back and fix your mistakes. But in my opinion, number 1 really, really does set you up for just an unsuccessful financial future, and that is dropping out. Now, a lot of people in this nation in particular choose to drop out. Simply because they fail classes, they're unmotivated to do it, they usually partake in a number of the indulgences I mentioned before, and they simply just don't get the work done, so their grades suck. They don't seem that promising to many colleges, so they don't get many offers, and a lot of times they'll just drop out and get a good enough degree, aka the GED, and then they'll just go off to work in some shitty minimum wage job which you can't even survive off of. And I find that ridiculous that the minimum wage that this country sets up for people is not even enough to survive off of in many states and parts of this nation. One in particular being New York, for the simple fact that I live here and I'm aware of this. Minimum wage is like shit. It's change. You cannot live off of that. You'd be better off living off I don't even know, man. Like, you're probably gonna have to live off the government. Just, work your way up with that welfare check. And you're not gonna work your way up anywhere, actually. You're just gonna work up a slight bit, just getting that extra bit of change to make it by, to scrape it by, along with food stamps. And it's sad that things like this are a reality. And I mean, I know people. I have family members who are in this situation. And I feel bad for them. but at the same time, they could get a job. They could go and change their life. And a lot of times, and they did drop out and get their GED, which is why I'm saying, like, just don't do it. Just get the degree at the very least, even if you don't plan on going to college. But even then, I would say still try. Still at least try for that 2-year associate's degree, because that would put you in a better position than just not going at all. And if you could, now I know this is kind of stretching it, but if you could, try and go away. Because a lot of times when students go away, when companies are looking for new employees, the fact that they know that you went away by yourself to go to school and you managed to take care of yourself long enough to get the degree makes you more likely, or it makes you more, sellable. It makes you more attractive as an employee, a potential employee. And you're just more likely to get picked up, and there's a lot of things that go into this, you know what I mean? So basic message of this commentary: do not drop out, don't do drugs, don't have sex, and don't drink. Or don't have unprotected sex. You could still have regular sex as long as it's protected. But just make sure, damn it, use the pills and condoms. That's all I gotta say. It's been LSP Let's Say Pro. See you guys next time.